Guess the world's gonna find out. Instead of the Ayatollah, Trump's gonna be like, "I told you." Bad dad joke of the day, AJ. Come on, man. Come on, man.
Well, no. It wasn't a bad joke.
I
But
told you.
I already knew the punchline because I was about to say the same thing.
A warrior.
Yeah.
So get the rim shot. We'll try it again.
Yeah, pulling up now.
So instead of Ayatollah, by 8 o'clock tonight or 7 our time, Trump's gonna be like, "I told you." It feels a little better with the rim shot. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Yep. How you doing, by the way?
I
started the show. I started the show ranting, and I never even greeted AJ. We just started going. We got nuclear war deadline. I don't know what the hell. 7 o'clock tonight. Nobody knows, and that's the point of today. The Iranians dang sure don't know. There's all this pressure from Pakistan to extend this 7 o'clock deadline. I wish we were on until after 7. If I had the energy, AJ, I'd just stay on. What are y'all doing after breaking bread? Can we just get back on?
We need to.
That's what we do, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'll still be here. So if we need to be back on, hey, well, let's hop on, and especially if things are going up in smoke.
Sure, yeah, but stand by because if there's a mushroom cloud over Tehran tonight, I'm gonna have to turn these buttons, turn all this equipment back on, and we'll go again. I'll take a little breaking bread break, and we'll get after it. So I don't know. My guess is there's going to be an extension or some kind of deal or some kind of cooperation. Things are moving in that direction. One of the things that happened a little while ago that I mentioned is the Iranians have released a journalist that they had taken hostage through a Shia militia group in Iraq, is my understanding. And she is now in the hands of the Israelis. That is one of those sort of hostage exchange things that happens when you're doing a negotiation. Let me try to be clear about this. I was listening to Barry last hour, and if y'all are hanging on, hang on. I'm gonna go straight to the calls. I'm gonna get as many calls as we can in because I'm pretty sure we're gonna get interrupted with breaking news through the afternoon with these developments. But the one thing Barry was talking about, he was talking about the fear of the nuclear holocaust with the Iranians getting a bomb. What I want to reassure people, and Trump's trying to say it, but we're all blowing past this. And I think we got to tap the brakes and pay attention to this. The unwinding of this war is going to happen. The Strait of Hormuz will reopen. None of this stuff is permanent. We all know that. It's just how will it happen and when will it happen are the two questions. It will happen. The Iranian regime is over. They have no functional way to stay in power. They're negotiating their surrender. That's all this is. That's what it's been. But here's the main point. I want you to absorb this into your bones because we have to remind ourselves. The nuclear threat to the world, which has been the Iranian regime, that nuclear threat is over. The world is no longer threatened by that. They're no longer threatened by that. They still got some missiles hidden. They still got some capability. They shot an F-15 down the other day with a shoulder-fired heat-seeking missile. So they've got capabilities. They do not have a nuclear program. They don't have anything. The most is somewhere buried deep in a mountain. They've got some enriched uranium. But if we negotiate the end of this thing the right way, that's not even a threat. It took them years to build it and subsequent weakness on the part of American presidents to allow, despite all the rhetoric, every president, Democrat and Republican before Trump, has allowed this to keep moving forward because of pure political calculus. And Trump has just thrown his hands up and said, politics be damned, we're going to do something for history. We're going to do something for mankind. We're not just shooting rockets out into space further than men have ever gone, and one woman. But what we're doing is we're saving a whole region of the world from this threat. Maybe the world itself. They demonstrated they could shoot a rocket 2,500 miles. They had enough uranium for 11 bombs, and they walked into the negotiations and flopped their wiener on the table and told everybody to measure it, and Trump cut it off. That's probably the poorest metaphor I've given the whole show. Nonetheless, just let me be clearer. The Iranian nuclear program is dead. It's over. We won that. It's done. It's done. We could walk out right now, and that's a huge accomplishment. After years of negotiation and bribery and weakness, they kept building and they kept building, and they were really close to finally using that thing. You think about if they had the cover of a nuclear bomb, a country that's willing to use its own children as human shields around power plants, what do you think they would have done with a nuclear bomb and geographically control of the Strait of Hormuz. They've already used closing the strait in the past. Reagan had to send warships in there in the 80s to clear it out. This is a rogue, maniac regime. Well, they were. Now we're trying to figure out what's left, who's in charge, and how do they want to end this. But make no mistake, we are in control of this situation. One way or the other, the strait's going to open. We'll force it open, or they can negotiate. It's better to negotiate. Trump's trying to negotiate. They need to give it up and move on. We've killed their military, most of it. Their nuclear program is completely dead. Those were 2 of the 3 objectives. Now we're trying to get the world back to an economic footing and do something to help the people on the ground that are trapped right now. And that's what the man is pushing for. Yeah. His rhetoric today sounded crazy to a lot of people. Good. We're dealing with crazy. You got to fight fire with fire, and this dude's doing it in a way that is absolutely breathtaking. And now we got everybody watching the clock. 3 hours and 45 minutes from now, something's going to happen or not. If I had to guess, it's going to be another extension because I think they're making moves toward what we want. It's good negotiation. AJ, is Other Barry there? I went to Preacher Barry, who laid it down for us. We'll start there. Line 2. What's up, Barry?
Hey, Leland, I ain't going to be as good as the past Barry.
I'm about to say, there won't be another Barry today. You just going to need to change your name or something.
Yeah, I know it. It's going to be a boring topic, but I know that ain't your district, and you ain't got no dog in the race, but you kind of do, I guess, because it probably pertains. I guess it pertains to the whole state. We had something up here in our district where a certain representative was going to get primaried, and going to get primaried by a guy that was a conservative, a Republican, but 30 years ago, he was a Democrat. And the steering committee in our county voted to let the guy on the ticket because they didn't see he'd been to meetings, he had been, around. His name was Doc Mancuso, and the representative was Ernie Yarber. And our county steering committee, they voted to let Mancuso on, and it got sent down to Montgomery. And you just tell me, how is the sitting representative able to be on the Montgomery state steering committee, and also political consultants and stuff like that? It just stinks to high heaven. I wish 1819 News would get on it, because they kicked Mancuso off. He's going to have to run as an independent. And I've been voting Democrat my whole life, and this year I'm going to vote independent for Mancuso just for that reason, that they kicked him off. I just kind of gets a burr under your skin. I know a bunch of people like that around here too.
Well, that is very, very local, and I can understand how you're frustrated with it. And that is kind of up to their local party rules. It's a crazy structure, the way they decide who gets to do what. There's, you got your county parties that get a vote in that. The state party, sometimes the executive committee can set rules down for the subchapters. But, I don't know a whole lot about that situation, but I can see why you're frustrated by it for sure.
Yeah. Well, it gets me is, it'd be different if the county party voted him down. It'd be different if they done that. But they voted to keep him because they knew him. They it's local. Right. Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah, it's a good old boy system. Yep.
They got sent down to Montgomery, and Montgomery was the one that kicked him off. And they don't know, and that's just, I don't understand how political consultants and state representatives can still serve on the Montgomery, the state steering committee. You know what I mean? Look like it should be. What if one of them was getting primary? They going to recuse themselves? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get your frustration, but that very much is sort of I guess they like to call it inside baseball. It's just that inter-party squabbling stuff that always gets very, very frustrating. It's very amateurish too, and I'm telling you, with this closed party system, you're just going to invite more of that. There'll be all these questions about who gets to be in and who gets to be out. Yeah. And thanks, Barry. Yeah. The only thing that would qualify you to claim you're a Republican is you just sign up. You can completely lie about it, which people are doing right now anyway. Plus, if the ones that are already there are screwing up the brand name by doing some of the things they're doing, what is it? Who cares? Anyway, I'm a little cynical about the subject. Here's Michael on line 3. He's up next. Michael, what's up, buddy?
Leland, how you doing?
Hey, man.
So, calling from Georgia, and I just want to let you know today we're having an election.
Yeah.
In the 14th district, this is the congressional race. This is the one vacated by Marjorie Greene. Okay, previously, she stepped away.
I've been loosely watching that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, in a purple state like Georgia, and as you know, we're right down the middle, 50-50. These elections become very crucial, and it's between Sean Harris and Clay Fuller, and something I think you might want to keep your eye on later tonight if you can watch it. Most pundits think that Fuller is going to win a close race, but we shall see. And but I think it's just something to keep your eye on. I know you're very.
Which one did Trump endorse? Did he endorse Fuller? Oh
yes, Trump is. Well, Fuller is the Republican. Sean Harris is the Democrat. This is not a primary. This is.
That's the special. Election. Yeah. Is that? I don't know much about that district, but I saw some of the odds makers today. It was just in passing. I didn't stop and read too heavily about it, but apparently, the Fuller candidate has a 99% chance of winning on the odds markets because of the composition of the district. So I don't know what the polls are showing.
Yeah, I think you talk about Fuller winning, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the demographics of that area, this would be considered Northwest Georgia. Well, I don't have familiarity with Georgia. I know you're from there originally, but there's more Rome.
Oh yeah, that's just over the border from us. Yeah,
I think demographically, Fuller.
Every little small race and special in between now and the midterms gets overwatched, like it's a crystal ball into or foretelling or foreboding for the upcoming midterms. Georgia's biggest problem is in the Secretary of State's office and the voter rolls, the election machines, and the corruption there. It does give Democrats, even in a district where they don't have a demographic advantage on traditional voting patterns, they've got a tactical advantage through using some of the vote cheating systems. And Georgia's really weak in that regard all over the state.
You want to hear something funny in regard to that?
Sure.
Brad Raffensperger, ironically enough, is running for governor. So
yeah,
go figure.
I know it. Yeah.
So I certainly hope he doesn't win. But yeah, there's a lot of concern in this state. Just lastly, there's a lot of concern in this state that Trump's popularity nationally, he's got some pretty bad numbers right now, is going to be a real disadvantage for Republicans running in Georgia in November.
They've said that since he got in office, but the way you can really tell that, here's the big tell: watch the campaign ads. If the campaigns internally are not showing that, that's the media saying stuff like that. But if the campaigns are still wrapping themselves around the Trump flag and putting MAGA hats on in their ads, then their pollsters are telling them a different story. And that's what we're still seeing here in Alabama, which, again, Georgia is a red state with Atlanta in the middle of it. That's all it is. Atlanta has a bigger population than the rest of the state, and they sort of run the rest of the state that way. But you get outside of Atlanta, and Georgia is very much a Republican state. But let's see how it goes tonight. I appreciate you bringing our attention to that, Michael.
Yeah. You might want to pay some attention to that. But Leland,
we'll watch it.
I love your show. I'll listen to you online. I wish you would go nationally syndicated. You're so good. All right, take care.
I appreciate that, buddy. That's kind of you. George is in Irondale. Let's see if we can get one more in here, and I know I got to get this break. What's up, George?
How you doing? You guys got a great show, and you make a great team.
Well, thank you.
I just had a little quick thing I wanted to pass on. I thought of a surefire way to mitigate the Democrat problem. All we have to do is get President Trump to issue an executive order forbidding the ingestion of cyanide by Democrats. Problem solved.
Preventing it
or
allowing it?
You guys have a great day.
All right, there's George with his very dark and twisted sense of humor. Thanks, George. Man, that came out of nowhere, AJ. He had such a kind voice. Suddenly putting cyanide on the table. Oh man. Let's do Douglas Cooling and Heating. Let me tell you about them, and then we'll get the break in here. And I see Jay over there in Winfield. Calls from all over today. I appreciate that. Douglas Cooling and Heating, ready to tune you up. I was tempted with turning the heat on last night. We did have a little bit of a cool snap after all that rain Saturday night, but we're warming back up. I think we're in sure enough spring now. And if you haven't done your spring tune-up, let me just encourage you one more time. It's never too late to do it, but if you're smart, you do it on the front end of the peak season, and we're about to have 100% air conditioner 100% of the time. And it's not just the heat, it's the humidity, and you need a good running system. If your system is running poorly, it's just going to struggle and cost you more money on your power bills. It just sort of wears everything down because it has to run on high speed all the time to try to keep up. It needs to breathe. It's a mechanical system. And I say it all the time. We talk about some of our car places that advertise you wouldn't think about not servicing your vehicle, taking good care of it. Same thing with your air conditioner. It's the mechanical part of your house. The company you can trust that I've trusted for going on 17 years. I don't think I've ever done business with anybody that long. It's Douglas Cooling and Heating. They are outstanding at what they do. Tune-ups, cleanups, emergency opinions, of course, installations. They specialize in the Bryants, but they can put anything in for you that you need and get your house up to speed. They'll be doing a project for me this summer, a little addition to my system, and I can't wait. I know I'm in good hands. I know I'll get a fair price, and everything's going to be just right. It's calldouglas.com if you need them over to your house. Do that tune-up now. I'm telling you, it sounds minor, but it'll pay for itself in the long run. It's calldouglas.com, license number 2017181, calldouglas.com. Back in a minute. Y'all, Southern Skies Dermatology bringing the show tonight, too. It's my chance to encourage you. Look, they're a client, they're a sponsor, they pay us for their advertising. But even if they didn't, I'm telling you, in my personal life, I highly encourage people to go get checked for skin cancer. Dr. Mario would encourage you, too. Even if you can't get to Southern Skies, we should all get regular skin checkups to make sure we're good to go, no matter what your color, your race. There are factors that add up, but we're all vulnerable to some extent. Find out what that extent is by getting your skin checked. And I say you go to Southern Skies because this is all they do. This is what they specialized in years and years ago when they set up the practice. It's just a skin cancer practice. And so when you do that one thing day in and day out, and you've got the absolute latest technology to cure people and to diagnose, you get really good at it and you save lives, which is what they've done. I dare say they've saved, I don't think it's an overstatement to say they've saved hundreds of lives just in this audience by detecting melanoma, removing it early, and people get on with their lives. They've been doing it for years. They've been on with us probably more than a decade. And I get such good feedback about the office. And I'm a patient too. Just went a couple of months ago, got checked out. SouthernSkiesDermatology.com. They're going to have a new location coming this year somewhere in the 280 area. Details on that when they get the building all ready and they're ready to go, got the doors open. SouthernSkiesDermatology.com. All right, let's go to Jay in Winfield. What's up, Jay? How you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, Leland?
Hey, man.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, I got a little hypothetical thought here. I was going to run it by you and see what you think, and then let you go, man. You know, if he's got people on the bridges and surrounding the power plants, can't he still hit the power lines?
Oh yeah,
or,
we've got these blackout weapons that can.
That effect.
We've got weapons. We've got EMPs, and we got weapons that can disable their electricity without harming anybody on the ground. I don't know what Trump's planning on doing, and I'm not even sure he's really going to do that because it sounds like negotiations are moving forward this hour.
Well, for him to say that's what he's going to do, usually he's got something else in his pocket too.
Oh yeah, yeah. I believe it's a misdirection. They got to be used to that by now. We've done it to them so many times in the course of this thing. Yep. They just don't learn. Neither does the media or the Democrat Party or a lot of their pundits. They all in the same kind of camp. Thanks, Jay. Good question, man. Yeah, infrastructure is infrastructure. By the way, there's reporting tonight that the CIA used a device called, or a weapon really, I guess, or surveillance tool called a ghost murmur to find that downed pilot. And if I understand it right, it can pick up the sound of a human heartbeat within a square area of 1,000 miles. Does that make sense? It's like hearing a single voice. I've heard it described as picking out a single voice in the middle of a football stadium full of people. It blows my mind, but that's how they narrowed in on his precise location. That's stuff out of futuristic novels, man. I don't even know. More on this, more your phone calls and breaking news as we get it this afternoon. Back after this, Leland Live. Y'all, Crocker Moving Services is ready to help you out if you got any kind of moving to do this spring or this summer. I always talk about there are little projects that are big projects. Does that make any sense? Like in my case, I got them to move a big old safe that I bought without thinking. Got a deal on it, but I didn't think about how I was going to move it. I guess I thought maybe they were just going to bring it to me, and I said, "So how do I get this thing?" They said, "You got to come get it." That's when I called Crocker. They moved this 1,000-pound dead weight over a kind of a little creek with rocks in it. There's kind of a drainage area that's part of my yard, across some stones, in through a corridor, around 2 or 3 doors, and got it into this safe location. It was amazing to watch them work. And they've done several moves for me over the years, and they're always right on time. They show up on time, get it done very close to their estimate. I think in every case I've ever hired them, Eric and his team get done in less time than they estimate. So you've got pretty good assurance they know what they're doing, and your bill's going to be what it is. And they're just good folks. You want good people handling your furniture. Now, Eric and his team are hiring. So if you got somebody in your life, or maybe you want a challenge, you want to work hard, you want to make some good money, work with a great group of people. Maybe you got a kid home from college that needs to be busy. I've been there. Put them to work at Crocker. That'll teach them some life lessons and let them earn some money this summer as well. CrockerMovingServices.com. They're just the best. 2-hour minimum. They'll scale their services down to a little 2-hour project, all the way up to packing your whole house up, moving you wherever you want to go. CrockerMovingServices.com. All right, and short of any other breaking news this hour, and I'm continuing to watch in each of the breaks, if anything develops with this deadline that's looming, we'll go back to the phones, and we'll start with Thomas. I'll go straight through him, AJ, on the board. Thomas is on line 1. What's up, Thomas? AJ, do we have Thomas there?
Oh, hey.
I hear you now, brother. Go ahead, man.
Okay, good deal. Yeah, I just wanted to tell you thank you for a heads up of the Artemis being on Netflix yesterday.
Yeah.
I ended up watching that till 10 o'clock last night. When they went to bed, I went to bed.
Good for you. It's addictive because it's live and you feel like you're with them, you know?
Oh, I felt like I was 13 years old again.
Isn't that great?
And it was just amazing. And, of course, the images we saw last night were from a camera mounted on the boom on the outside. And then today I'm seeing some of the high-resolution photos, and it's just breathtaking.
Yeah, and that the color on the moon is what blew my mind. I didn't know. I thought the moon was gray and silver. It's all we've had for all these years, but the moon is beautiful. And do you know which side was all those pastels and all those colors on the ground?
I don't know. Now they were, the way it was, because they were looking to get in position for the eclipse. I don't know if you saw that or not, because they were eclipsed by the Earth.
Right.
I'm playing Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon when they're doing that. But it must have been the back side of the moon, because the way it was positioned, and they were even mentioning something about the craters and all, and it's something we hadn't seen from this side.
Absolutely, yeah. And it was very different because the gravitational pull of the moon and the way things had impacted it on that side is very different from what we see from the ground here on Earth. Isn't that amazing?
Exactly.
Yep.
And one thing was really real quick on this, while they were in the eclipse mode and they had a split screen that's showing mission control in Houston, one of them is saying he's observing flashes on the surface of the moon, and everybody in the control room just mouths wide open. And they say it was meteoroids impacting on the lunar surface.
Didn't they name, as they were flying over one of the big craters, one of them suggested back to Mission Control that they name one of those craters after one of their fellow astronauts' wives who had passed away, and that was just an emotional moment. Thought that is such a human moment. That's amazing.
Well, and one quick note I noticed a couple of days ago, I think it was Rob Schmidt on Newsmax pointed out that people criticizing the cost of the Artemis project. He said that the Artemis project costs less than what the Somalis ripped off.
Yeah, no doubt.
Fraud.
I was just about to say that. Can we just have our Somali fraud money back? And I'd rather us go to the moon than waste it on that. So.
Yeah. So, well, anyway, again, thank you for turning me on to that, because it was an enjoyable evening. Yeah,
Thomas, I'm glad you enjoyed that, man. I wish I'd spend a little more time with it. The day gets away from me, but it's how many times in life you're going to be able to watch a moon mission live? It just cruising around the moon like that, crazy stuff. Dale is in Bibb County. Let's go down to Dale real quick. What's up, Dale?
Hey, I like talking about stuff like that. It's more fun,
Yeah,
but
no doubt.
something was just kind of agitating. That Birmingham Waterworks. It's like it's funny how the previous Birmingham Waterworks board, they had to be replaced because of all the corruption, and now all of a sudden they act like they're so concerned with the quality of the water after stealing for customers for years. And they need to go get a job on the left or something. But that woman with the big eyeglasses looks like she needs to be like in an aquarium there. She might get her a job there in Dolphin Island with those big-eyed fish.
I don't even know who you're talking about, but yeah, there's people.
Don't take it personal, lady.
Well, left-wingers love to wear power glasses, man. It makes them feel edgy.
Yeah,
smart.
I'm looking at my little aquarium now. My little fish in there. Well,
Yeah.
She's got those big glasses, but I guess she may need them. But I mean, we have so much corruption. I wish that we could all get on and do better. Nobody's perfect. I know I'm not perfect, but you got to watch everybody. But God
Yep.
bless y'all. Y'all are like
All right.
a little counselor, and I can call there and vent
Well,
a
thank
little
you,
bit.
Dale.
So thanks.
There's Dale tonight, way down in Bibb County, taking shots at the Waterworks board. I've lost track of where we are on that. I think the last thing I heard was they get to take the fluoride out again because I think the judge in that case used to be a lawyer for the freaking former Waterworks board. It's just so corrupt. Anyway, all right, let's go to Rick in McCalla. Rick's next. Line 4. What's up, Rick?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. I appreciate what y'all do. Y'all
Yeah,
give a
man.
voice to the voiceless. I think that's wonderful.
Well, all right. Thank you for thanking
y'all's
us.
opinion means a lot to me too.
Well, thank you, Rick.
What I called about was they've done such a good job, the left, in framing Donald Trump, King and Hitler and all this stuff, It reminds me of somebody being brainwashed, kind of like I don't know if you knew about Jim Jones and the Kool-Aid and all that.
I remember
It kinda
that.
reminds me of that.
I watched remember Powers Booth played him in that movie when I was a kid. That always freaked me out, the Jim Jones cult. Yeah, look, I think you're giving them too much credit. You'd say that the left is doing a good job framing him. They're really not. They keep losing to the guy. He is still kicking their ass with both sets of shoes. I don't care what kind of image they put up. That's why they're flailing around screaming about stupid stuff at their rallies. They're losing the agenda right now. The world is changing shape right in front of their eyes, and everything that we approve of, everything that we are happy about, they're losing their minds over. So let's keep pissing them off. How about that?
I hope you're right. I hope it comes back to bite them. That's what I wanted to get was your opinion on that.
All right, Rick. I appreciate you, buddy. There's Rick weighing in tonight. By the way, back to the Artemis mission for just a minute. I love this too. Just in the last, 6 or 8 days, we get all these little headlines about this, the first time in history this, or the first time in history that. So a lot of history is being made on this mission. And one of the little quirks about it is this is the first time humans have had a radio transmission or a call from spaceship to spaceship, basically out in space. That is, the Artemis crew called the space station today. So we got folks floating around on the space station. And before, when we did the Apollo missions up to the moon, there was no space station. So they could only call back to Earth. That was sort of ship to ship, so to speak, which is, I don't know, it's something that's all in the sci-fi movies, but it just happened for the first time in human history, which, I don't know, all that stuff's, it's like the previous caller said, I'm like an 8-year-old again, every time I see these stories. I never did see that news conference pop up over the Artemis mission, but if there's anything new to update, they have just begun, it's been a slow thing, but they've just begun directing themselves back toward planet Earth. So prayers up for a successful splashdown off the coast of California a little bit later this week. Alabama Dental Associates bringing the show tonight, alabamadental.com, alabamadental.com. This is my dentist, Dr. Brian, and his whole crew. Y'all, they're just good. They're good, and they put their patients first. And every night I tell you about the crazy good hours that they're open as late as 7. That's important when you get in an emergency situation. They've got expanded hours. They got more time to squeeze you in, especially those Saturday hours if something goes sideways. Their specialties, and all that is because their whole business model is having a multi-dentist practice. That gives them the ability to stretch out the hours. And by design, they have 4 different specialties. So that gives them a huge range of talent and training and expertise to be able to handle whatever you bring in the door under one roof. And all of that works in our favor. And then I think they've hired the best hygienists and other technicians that are there with them in the building. They all take such good care of you. Y'all go see them. Take care of your teeth. Don't put that off either. It's easy. A lot of folks love to make an excuse and get out of it, but you don't need to do that. Just man up and go do the checkups. You got to do it. I was just pushing Jessica about one today. She had to go do a checkup today that she was dreading. We have those things in life. It's because we want to take good care of yourselves. It's alabamadental.com, alabamadental.com. Back here in a minute. Man, I'm so happy to have Tapco as one of our sponsors. It's a outstanding, top-notch service center downtown Birmingham for all of the things that could go wrong with your ride. We really all need a reliable and trusted. You know, I'm so old school. Back in the day, we called them mechanics, And that's still a compliment, I think, for Michael and his team down there. But they're technicians. They are service techs. It is very high tech nowadays to be able to get under a hood and diagnose all the computers and the sensors and the extra stuff that do make cars better in some ways, but they're so hard to work on, and it's just impossible to do it yourself. So nowadays, if you're dealing with all kind of stuff can come up, brakes, suspension, you got check engine lights that pop up for 1,000 different reasons. It could be anything. And sometimes it can be alarming. Sometimes it's nothing. But you need a real pro to get to the bottom of that. They can handle any domestics, imports. Cars come from all over the world nowadays, and they are ready to take care of it down at Tapco. And again, if you're running a business, or if you've got your own little fleet for whatever reason, maybe you got too many kids and they all got cars. I've been there. One time we had 5 or 6 cars in the driveway. It's one of those things where they're good at just being your go-to for fleet management. The state of Alabama trusts them. Aaliyah for the region takes all of their stuff to Tapco, because if you think about it, man, they run those cars hard, and they've got to be able to be safe and ready to go for the very important work that they do at Aaliyah. So they trust Tapco, and so do many other shops around town. When it gets over their heads, they'll send it down to Michael and his team. They've just got such a good reputation. And when you meet them, you'll know what I mean. It is 100% a professional, straightforward shop that can handle anything you bring into them. So if your car's giving you trouble, your truck or whatever's happening, y'all take it down to Tapco and let's let them become your trusted mechanic as well. TapcoBham.com if you want to check them out online. They're down on 6th Avenue South, very near our friends over at Iron City and around the corner from Birmingham Broker. Tapco. Y'all go see Michael and them. TapcoBham.com. All right, back on these phones. Y'all are lighting it up today. Everybody's tuned in. People paying attention. Stuff going down. Tom is next over in Calera. What's up, Tom?
Hi, guys. Since Trump has stopped 8 wars so far, I don't see any need for the UN anymore because they don't do nothing. And as far as NATO, well, they've all chickened out on us and not letting us even fly over their country. So we just need to get out of NATO and kick the UN out of our country.
Well, I've been anti-UN. We need to get us out of the UN and the UN out of the U.S. for years. NATO is a different story. It's not all of them. It's really Spain and I think Portugal and France right now that are the problems. The other ones have backed down. They've been dragging their feet. Trump's been on them since his first term about contributing. They used to have these contribution limits. Appreciate it, Tom. They were supposed to contribute 2% of their GDP. Trump upped that, and they met the demand, most of them. Some of them are still dragging their feet on their contribution. Here's the dirty secret, okay? Europe was getting away with America being its defense force. Because of the NATO pact, they've gotten a free ride since World War II, for the most part. They've got their own militaries, but they're not nearly as effective. They don't spend near the money that we do. And because we've got these mutual assurance pacts that will defend them in a crisis, they're counting on it. And they're basically relying on it and letting the U.S. taxpayer foot the bill. Trump has seen that imbalance since well before he ever got in office and started beating on NATO to do that. And he got them to come to the table. He got them to step up. If the organization was going to live up to its tradition and heritage, they had to contribute. They had to build. And what he asked them to do was spend money on their own militaries. In other words, beef up your own forces so you're not so vulnerable. And Europe just got into this suicide pact. They embraced all these Muslim immigrants, and now the countries that are full of Muslim immigrants are afraid of their own immigrants, and so they're afraid to help us. So they're cowering out. Some of their militaries have become dysfunctional. The British, who used to rule the seas of the whole world, can barely get their navy to move around nowadays. They're an embarrassment, not to mention the politics of the region. They chase the green energy to the point where they almost ran off their energy infrastructure. They're super vulnerable on that issue. So Trump's just making them defend themselves. He's giving them a good ass kicking and saying, stick up for yourselves and fix your own problems. And it's time that it's high time they did that. And this is a vulnerable situation for them. This issue has smoked them out, and they're going to be on the wrong side of it in the end. And by the way, we've gone through this, but we weren't asking them to fly missions. We weren't asking them to put so-called boots on the ground. We weren't asking them to fly anything, to launch one airplane. We just said, let us use your airspace. It's a shortcut. We need a shorter route. It'll be quicker, more lethal, and more efficient for us to not have to fly around Spain into the Mediterranean to get to these targets, they wouldn't let us do it. Use your airspace and let us use some of the air bases that we paid for, and they denied that. And that was an affront to everything that is holy in the world. What I think is going to happen is there's going to be a realignment of NATO, and some countries don't need to be in it anymore. They're not reliable partners. They're not doing their part, and they've become overwhelmed by the third world. They've just become what they've allowed, and we can't let that happen here either. The map of the world is changing. Alliances are changing and being regrouped. We'll come out on the stronger end of it, especially if we're going to be held responsible and lead. We got to have good allies by our sides, and we'll find out. This is a test. This is a friendship test right now, and I love it. I love that happening. That's another thing that has festered for decades as well. NATO has been almost worthless for decades, not entirely, but as these countries have slowly done themselves in, especially with their EU commitments, there's always been a conflict there. It's a mess. All right, let's go to Boomer and get him in here. Line 3. What's up, Boomer?
Hey, brother. I just wanted to call and say I put prayers out for those Iranian civilians because they're in a lose-lose situation. They're being put in as targets or getting lined up around the targets, and they're putting them in there as targets. And we all know what happens if they don't. They'll just shoot them. They'll shoot their own people just as quick. So they're in a lose situation. But my prayers go up, and hopefully God can intervene and something miraculous can happen.
Oh, yeah.
We're down to 3 hours away, and I mean, it worries me, but I know that God's got a handle on whatever's going to happen.
Well, that's always been the case for sure. No doubt about it.
Peace out, guys.
All right. There's Boomer tonight doing his thing, taking care of business. By the way, some reporting that Trump has had some direct phone calls with some reporters. He's keeping the tough face on for the rest of the world, but saying behind the scenes negotiations are continuing. They're very heated, but just as everybody's watching the clock tick to see what's going to happen at 7 o'clock, there's a back and forth happening, and there's always hope as long as those channels are talking to each other. We don't know what they're talking about or what's on the table or off the table, but my gut just tells me something's going to get announced this afternoon before 7 o'clock. Well, hopefully we're here for it and can bring it to you live. Mike is in McCalla. Let's get Mike in here. What's up, buddy? Go ahead, Mike.
Let me turn the radio down.
Yeah,
hey, can you hear me?
Good move. Yeah, there you go.
Hey, yeah, I heard this morning I was watching Fox, and they had a Iranian correspondent over there, somebody they were talking to, and she said something to the effect that she feels like France did a behind-the-scene negotiation with Iran to release those 2 French hostages, but because they didn't possibly open up their air base for us.
Yeah, the French held out on allowing us to use, and they think that's how those 2 French hostages got released, that they asked the Iranians for something in exchange for them holding the line on that. And that is just, it's not treason. It's their country. They can do what they want. But that should burn us with France from now on. I mean, we should just be done with France. We don't need France.
So do we know if that was actually if that actually did happen? Or
we know the 2 French hostages were released, and we know they've denied us airspace. We don't know if it was a quid pro quo, whether there was a back channel agreement to do both.
Gotcha. I thought that was interesting, man, when I heard that.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, man. I mean, I think we need to burn the bridge with them on that. I mean, it's not like we need them anyway.
We don't. It's like having them along is like bringing an accordion on a duck hunt. They're just it's not necessary. Thanks, man. Hey, good call, Mike.
I appreciate you. Thank you,
All right, man. All right, back on these phones. Y'all are blowing these phones up. It's awesome. Y'all hang in there. We're going to keep you on top of everything tonight, waiting on maybe other developments and any kind of drama that may happen in the next 2 hours. We're 3 hours out from Trump's deadline. This is why, while our astronauts are cruising their way home for what could be, was always a very dangerous reentry to planet Earth, drama this week, man. It's drama week. Back in a minute, Leland Live.